He's the best there is at what he does, and what he does is make bank for whoever has the license. There was a time not too long ago that Wolverine products maintained a constant presence on the shelves, just like Batman, the Ninja Turtles, and Optimus Prime. He returned to toy shelves in 2016, proving that he's still got it, and he's going to be giving it to you at least twice a year from now on. Hi, I'm Dan Larson, and these are the 10 best Wolverine action figures. Number 10. 1992 Toybiz Uncanny X-Men 2nd Edition Wolverine. Toybiz's first effort at a Wolverine figure in 1991 featured a removable mask, a samurai sword, and pop-out claws. It was a fair effort for the era, but left plenty of room for improvement. 1 year later, Toybiz focused on this blue and yellow tiger-striped figure that was more in line with the record-setting Jim Lee X-Men comic book and popular Saturday morning cartoon series. It featured more articulation and a much more effective retractable claw action, and helped set Toybiz up as an action figure company that would not only drive the 90s toy market, but literally save Marvel as a company. Number 9. 1984 Mattel's Marvel Secret Wars Wolverine. The first Wolverine figure ever hit in the early 80s when Wolverine was establishing his reputation as a mysterious, cold-blooded killing machine with an unbreakable sense of loyalty and honor. Part of the multimedia rollout of the Secret Wars comics, toys, and beach towels, he featured a set of snap-on claws that still look better than the claws on the hundreds of figures released through the mid-90s and into the 2000s. Number 8. 2011 Hasbro Marvel Universe Astonishing X-Men Wolverine. Toybiz and Hasbro took a lot of swings at a 3 3/4 inch Wolverine, and they're all terrible. His angry eyes, his growly mouth, his kitty ear hat, and claws just do not scale down that far. But Wave 16 in 2011 came as close as they're probably going to get, with Wolverine's look from the Astonishing X-Men series of books written by Joss Whedon and illustrated by John Cassaday. Decent head, decent paint, decent scowl, double-jointed knees. It's good enough for a scale of action figures that is dead at retail anyway. Number 7. 2005 Toybiz Marvel Legends Astonishing X-Men Wolverine Masked and Unmasked. Toybiz Marvel Legends will always be remembered for their attention to detail. Some would argue that maybe there was a bit too much going on, like who really needs toe articulation? But even I can't deny that back then, collectors were getting a lot more for their dollar. Astonishing X-Men Wolverine came in both masked and unmasked versions and features sculpted costume details like stitching for added realism. The unmasked version also happens to be one of the best Logan heads ever rendered in any line before or since. Number 6. 2002 Toybiz Marvel Legends Series 3 Wolverine, Masked and Unmasked. In the early 2000s, the action figure industry was racing to get out 6-inch action figures with hyper-detailed sculpts and paint applications. Series 3 from Marvel Legends featured Wolverine in his classic blue and yellow suit, but with an unprecedented degree of detail and articulation. Articulated fingers and toes, but no ab crunch, and Toybiz was still trying to figure out how to do claws that weren't snap-on or didn't look like they'd been thoroughly abused by Magneto. Both the masked and unmasked versions were examples of what could be accomplished at the 6-inch scale, as well as a brilliant combination of realism and comic book aesthetic. Number 5. 2012 Hasbro Marvel Legends SDCC X-Force 3-pack Wolverine. Did I get enough C's in there? Technically, this spot is for every figure that used this mold. SDCC X-Force, Hick Monkey Wave X-Force, Puck Wave, and Jubilee Wave. That's a couple of figures. It's not so much about those individual figures as it is the innovation in claw design. The 2012 figure introduced in the SDCC 3-pack with Psylocke and Archangel was the first to feature individual claws that were a more solid plastic and removable. This allowed for a mind-blowing degree of posability. 1, 2, or all 3 claws popped on either or both hands. Which means that every figure after it would have to handle the claws like this, or risk being considered inferior and thus unsold. Number 4. 2013 Marvel Select The Wolverine. Hugh Jackman has played Wolverine in 9 different movies, but there aren't many action figures with a decent likeness. Diamond Select's 2013 release, modeled after his appearance in the film The Wolverine, delivers not 1, but 3 different Hugh Jackman heads with 3 different expressions. He has articulation on par with Marvel Legends, comes with a katana and 3 different sets of hands with 2 different sets of claws, bone and metal. My head is spinning. The only thing that could have made this figure better would have been a shirt or jacket or anything that made him a little less conspicuous. Number 3. 2005 Medicom Real Action Heroes 12-inch Wolverine. Normally we don't include any Sideshow or Hot Toys figures in our list here at Toy Galaxy because the degree of detail that can be achieved at the 12-inch scale at that price point makes everything else completely irrelevant and honestly not very interesting for a list. Oh, number 1 is Hot Toys. Again, also numbers 2 through 8. Great, I can't afford those. Good to know I'll never be able to obtain the best figures ever. Excuse me, my Hot Pockets are ready. However, in 2005, Medicom's Real Action Hero line featured a Wolverine figure with comic styling that was just too far ahead of its time. It is highly articulated with a cloth goods outfit, masked and unmasked heads, removable claws, and maybe a bit on the skinny side. It was a very limited run, imported from Japan, priced around $100 before shipping, but is absolutely one of the best comic-styled Wolverine figures ever made, and it's a crime that it wasn't produced in higher quantities, which I will chalk up to being made for a market that wasn't quite there yet. This is the kind of figure Mezco Toys is putting out now, and they'll be doing it for half the price at half the scale. Number 2. 2004 Toybiz Marvel Legends Series 6 Wolverine. This slot is for both the Series 6 brown suit as well as the Red Hulk Wave blue and yellow suit. It's the same figure, just with different paint and shoulder pads. Great sculpt, articulation, paint, a perfectly snarling head, and claws that, while rubbery, could be massaged into a suitable position or just completely cut off and left to the imagination. He can't make a decent fist because of his finger articulation, but even 13 years later, collectors are still debating as to whether this figure is really a number 2 or a number 1. Number 1, 2016 Hasbro Marvel Legends Juggernaut Wave Wolverine. It's a really close call, and I can't even say with 100% certainty that this Wolverine is absolutely the best, even after pitting him directly against the Series 6 figure in a versus video back in July of 2016. It really comes down to what era collector you are. It may be obvious to say that stylistically this Wolverine fits in with the figures that have been released in the last 5 or 6 years, and if that's the bulk of your collection, it's a must-have. But the 2004 Series 6 is such a strong piece and has so much more character and energy in the sculpt that it's hard to weigh that against this figure's newer body design, interchangeable hands, and removable claws. It's hard to weigh those things, but you can, and if you do, it's hard to argue that all of those elements, plus the fact that you could have walked into a Marvel Legends retailer just a few months ago and picked him up for regular price, gives him the edge over everything else that has come before. Most of the Wolverine figures that have been made since 1984 are absolute garbage, but you can't make 68,000 figure variations without making a few standouts. Now that he's back on the toy scene, look forward to him sharing space with Spider-Man, Iron Man, and Captain America. Cross your fingers and hope that someday soon he'll share screen time as well. Thanks for watching. Hit like, hit subscribe, hit share, and put this video someplace for others to enjoy and debate. Let us know in the comments below what your first Wolverine was. Mine was the 1984 Secret Wars piece, and I have to admit, I had absolutely no idea who he was at the time. I just liked his hat and those shiny snap-on claws. Does that work? Does it look like I'm popping them? No.
Cut.